When you own a rental property in Carlsbad, California, how do you get it rented out for not only for the most amount of money, but for the quickest way possible? Remember, just because you got your property rented and you got it rented quick, if you put the wrong person in, you've actually gone backwards and you haven't even realized it. So make sure that when you have a property and you are trying to get it rented and ready for leasing season, that you are thinking of all the things that you need to do. First thing I would suggest is make sure you have policies and procedures and you have structure in place to get the property leased as quickly as possible, but more importantly, that you are putting in the right criteria for the right person. You want to make sure that you know what questions to ask, and more importantly, what questions you cannot ask, because in this day and age, the last thing you want to do is violate a federal fair housing law because you asked the wrong questions, you didn't know that you could not ask this or you could not ask that, or maybe you selected one resident over another because you had a gut feeling, and that gut feeling maybe could get you into a discrimination lawsuit because it was not written down and you didn't have any written criteria. Make sure that when you get a property and you want to get it rented, you have the back end set up first, meaning the policies, the procedure, you have your qualifications down, you have all of this written down, because the last thing you want to do is put the wrong person in or maybe miss another resident and now you're in a lawsuit because they said you discriminated against them because you didn't realize that there is a process, a policy, and a procedure. Now, when you want to get your property rented, what are some tips and tricks to get it rented? Well, first of all, when you drive up to a property, always remember you will never get a second chance of giving that tenant a first impression. So when you drive up to that property, ask yourself, is this a property that I can envision living in? Is the grass cut? Are there flowers in the yard? Is there mulch? Is there trash in the yard? Is the mail coming out of the mailbox? These are all the little things that add up when a tenant drives up to your property. This is what they're thinking. If this is how the owner takes care of this property, is this really how I want it to be taken care of? Then, once they get out of the car, how does the front door look? The front door actually says a lot about a property. If it's old and it's worn out and the paint is chipped off, that is not a good sign. Spend a little bit of money investing in the property and make sure you put a nice door or a paint of coat on the front door and a nice fixture. Now, when you go inside the property, there are very simple things that do not cost a lot, like smell. If the house smells or is musty because you don't have the power on, that is going to be an initial turnoff to many, many residents that walk in that property. So make sure the house smells good. That means either getting the carpets very well shampooed by a professional shampoo clean or new carpets. Same thing with paint. Make sure that the house smells like fresh paint, or at least that the paint matches. Do not have spots and different colors in the house because you didn't want to spend the money on a full paint. Because if you get a resident that's willing to take a house that smells, that the paint doesn't match, that the front yard is trashy, how do you think you're going to get the property back, right? And you're probably going to have the property on the market a lot longer. Make sure that there's no furniture in the house. The last thing a prospective tenant wants to see is the old tenant's couch in the property. Even if you say, hey, we're going to move it out of there, move it out before you start showing the property, because you will get a much higher quality tenant if you show them a nice, clean property, because they are trying to imagine their belongings, their stuff in the property. And if you have a bed sitting in the middle of the living room or a couch sitting there, they cannot picture that. So again, if you do get a tenant that accepts it that way, you got to ask yourself, is that really the tenant that you want? So again, these are some of the things you want to make sure that you do. Make this systematic. Start writing down policies, procedures, structure to how you want this done, and make sure that you follow those every single time. Now, if you don't want to do all those, this is the way that you can leverage this out to a management company. You can hire a company like Mine Property Management, where we can come in and we can take care of all of those things for you. You don't have to worry about dealing with any of that. The only thing you have to worry about is making sure that you are being the CEO of your business, and that you are doing the things a CEO needs to do, not as much the things that an operator needs to do. Now, I'm not saying it's bad, but make sure that you understand your role in what you're doing and why you're doing it. If you want to know more, we'd be happy to talk to you here at Mind Property Management. Just give us a call or look us up online at mynd.co. Again, that's mynd.co. We'd be happy to talk with you about Carlsbad, how we can help you get your property rented quick with policies, procedures, and structure, and we can make sure that you have a successful investment property. On behalf of Mind and myself, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.